kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQP, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Thursday, getting ready for this UFC Winnipeg card in Canada happening this weekend. What's going on, 78 Northwest? Welcome back. Appreciate you for jumping back in. And yeah, hopefully we got some good stuff today. We had some interesting stuff going on with the press conference involving Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, you know, all the Netflix MVP MMA fighters on that card. And yeah, it was interesting, man. It was interesting to say the least. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere. I posted a short about it, but I wanted to break it down a little bit and go over it. So yeah, we're definitely gonna touch base on that one because Ronda had a lot to say. And you know, for me, I it's not that I'm not a Ronda fan, it's that I'm not a Ronda fan with her on the mic. She gets a little, it gets a little bit too much sometimes, and that's the way it used to be. I would say she touched on that a little bit with this little rant that she went on, but more than anything, she was actually making sense for the most part, and she didn't get too crazy till the end where, you know, it gets to that point where you're like, holy shit, what am I watching? So it was actually interesting, and she went on for like almost 3 minutes. What up, all is good? Appreciate you for jumping in. Thanks for coming back. And yeah, so Ronda had a lot to say to Kayla Harrison in particular. That's pretty much who her rant was about. And it's just because, what up, Antoine? Because Kayla had something to say about her on a podcast with Gamebred, Jorge Masvidal. Right on, Antoine. Appreciate you for coming back. Thank you for jumping in. But yeah, the the podcast with Gamebred, and basically Kayla Harrison called Ronda Rousey irrelevant, which is kind of crazy. But then again, not. So we're definitely going to be jumping into that because there was a lot being said and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to that. So other than that, I think PFL Belfast is either on now or over at this point, but that happened today. Alex Lahore was on that card. I interviewed him a while back. Let me see if I can find out real quick if that's still on or if it's over. I think it was on early, like kind of way earlier, so maybe it's over at this point. It wasn't a huge card because one of the fights dropped off. Oh yeah, it's over. At least the main event ended 37 seconds into the first round. Holy shit, JJ Wilson beat Dara Kelly. Damn, Alex Lahore lost to Reese McKee, former UFC fighter. That was a unanimous decision fight. Tyson Pedro was fighting on this card as well versus, this is a long ass name. Let me see if I can even. Dovlet Yagshimuradov. Anyway, Tyson Pedro lost that one. Colin Lochrain got a win by submission against Alan Philpott. And it looks like that's about it. Oh, Pedro Carvalho versus Sergio Casio. Carvalho got the win by unanimous decision. And I think that's about it for those that I recognize. Chelsea Hackett versus Andrea Vasquez. Hackett got the win by unanimous decision there. So yeah, the rest of these fighters, I'm not too sure about them. So thank you, all is good. Appreciate you. But yeah, that was PFL Belfast. That happened earlier today. So that event's over. And yeah, we got some RFA coming up this weekend, and then we have UFC Winnipeg happening in Canada. That one's gonna, you know, I mean, it's a decent card. We got Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott for the main event, and you know, it is what it is. There's The rest of the card, I mean, I guess the top 4 fights on the main card are pretty decent. Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain for the co-main. Mandel Nalo versus Jai Herbert, and Jasmine Jastovicius versus Karine Silva, and then Thiago Moises versus Gage Young. I guess they all have potential. If we follow along with what's happened in the previous 2 fight nights, we will get a great fight card out of this. But that's, we got a good fight card out of the numbered event, so that made 3 cards in a row. I'm like, I don't want to put a whole lot into thinking that we're going to get 4 really great cards in a row, but I would love to be proven wrong. I definitely would. But this, this card isn't very deep, but we've said that about other cards too. So there's a decent, I think there's 3 or 4 women's fights, 3 women's fights, 2 on the prelims, 2 on the main card. No, 1 on the main card. Sorry. 1 on the main card, 2 in the prelims. Yeah. So again, not the best of cards, but it could surprise us. And I'd be happy if that is what happened and we got another great card, because we've been on a roll. We've been on a roll. The UFC's been on a roll, and that makes me happy, considering I was so negative about the UFC for a little while. But, it just, when you're not getting good fights and things change, it's the first year. We started off the year, into Paramount Plus, and things just seem to be taking a downfall. And it's turned around. It turned around with the past few cards, and that's good. That's good. So I'm hoping that we keep up with that, at least mid-range cards. You know what I mean? These absolutely horrible cards were like 1 or 2 finishes and the rest are decisions and they're not even great fights is not what we want. So I'm hoping that this middle chunk of the year is just completely full of great cards, whether we think it is or not on paper. So that's the hope. And maybe with the competition out there, MVP MMA happening on Netflix coming up, which, that's coming up pretty quick here, in a couple weeks or a few weeks, something like that. But, these press conferences, we got Ronda Rousey just taking shots left and right at the UFC and people in the UFC. So this might be where the competition comes in. And if they have a great card, then we get the White House card and we'll see how that performs. Now we know that Josh Hokett got added to that card with the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, for the 7th fight on that card. So now we have 7 fights. And, it's got to live up to some hype, because this thing has been so crazy overhyped. And I keep hearing all of this craziness of people having a problem with their, little promo video that they made, which I didn't really pay that much attention to it because we were in here doing the watch party. So we're joking around, having fun. But the promo that they did was like AI generated. Now, at a quick glance, you're not paying attention to that really, I guess. If you're paying close attention to the promo as you watch it, then you realize pretty quickly that it is. Right on, Antoine. Thanks for jumping back in. Appreciate you. I hope you had a good podcast as well. Yeah, so I mean, everyone's had a problem with this, saying that, it's AI slop and, all that good stuff. I get it, because I don't actually enjoy doing too much with AI when it comes to the creative part. You know what I mean? Like, I've made a couple thumbnails, those thumbnails from last week, on last Thursday's show and the watch party show. Those were made with AI. Just the pictures, I just got the pictures to do what I wanted them to do. And, I don't see a problem with that for the most part. I just don't like using that all the time. You saw the Braves record so far. They're 12-7. Only the Padres and Dodgers are better. Oh, yeah, I haven't been paying close attention. The baseball seasons are so damn long that if I pay attention in the beginning and I see that they start hot, then I get excited. And then there's so many damn games that it's like it starts to dwindle in the middle and you're just like, fuck. So again, there you go. All is good. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I just don't, I can't follow all of it, but I'm happy that my team's doing well so far. So only the Padres and Dodgers, of course, the damn Dodgers. Damn Dodgers, can't get rid of them. And I hate that this hat has a little bit of Dodger feel to it, but with the red outline on the A, I haven't worn this hat in a minute. I kind of forgot I had it. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, so there's some stuff to talk about. I'm hoping that the MVP MMA card and all of the Ronda Rousey stuff, I'm hoping that all puts a fire under the ass of the UFC and really gets them going. Unfortunately, Antoine, I sound like a broken record, but I do not follow baseball as closely as I wish I could. So I don't really, I mean, I've seen some good and some bad coming out of the MLB, you know, the rule changes and stuff. I haven't heard too many negative things about it. So I think it's just one of those, you know, take some getting used to, and then everyone just kind of rolls with it. Seems like it might be better. I hear a few more people talking about baseball nowadays than I did, you know, a couple years back or the few years leading up to it, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, there's a few players I hear about all the time, but nothing crazy. So I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts on it right now. I got to pay attention a little more. My favorite player ever, I mean, I have to go with Chipper Jones from the Braves, but I have a lot of great players. I mean, Canseco was my favorite player when I was growing up. Him and McGuire and Ricky Henderson. Those days of the Oakland A's were the best. But, you know, once that broke up, and then Canseco went his own way doing stupid shit with the Rangers and the baseball off the head and all that. It's ridiculous. You know, the steroid stuff with McGuire, and then Ricky just kind of stayed true to himself, but, you know, just fizzled. So I didn't really keep up a whole lot. And then, of course, but yeah, with Chipper and a lot of the Braves guys, I know, you know, just favorite players of mine. So yeah, I don't really have anything specific. I would say, because I've always kept my number as 10 for Chipper. And that's still something I reference 03 Marlins Bane. Can't really speak on that too much, but, do you think any steroid users should be eligible? I think more people use steroids than we might think. So at this point, I mean, when it's egregious like Barry Bonds and McGuire and all them, I don't know. I don't think you can erase that portion of history. I think you put them in there with an asterisk. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens was dope too. But yeah, I mean, you put him in there with an asterisk. That's the way I look at it. You can't erase that part of history, man. It made baseball better back then, and sometimes I feel like it should just be allowed. Baseball's not a game. I mean, you know, sure, if you hit the ball hard and you hit somebody in the head, it's gonna hurt them no matter what. If you pitch a ball and you hit them at 100 miles per hour, there's people that are natty out there that are throwing 100 anyway. So unless you're throwing like 120 and it's just insane, who gives a shit if the pitchers are doing steroids? Like, what the fuck? That's on them. That's their health that's going to have to deal with it later from doing too many steroids and shit like that. It's not like fighting. Fighting's a whole different thing. You can fucking kill somebody. You know, football kind of too. Because it's, you know, car crashes upon car crashes with those, with the tackling. And I mean, they've nerfed football so much at this point. I don't even know that it matters, but yeah, baseball is not one of those sports that I think matters. It's just you have to make stadiums bigger because motherfuckers be hitting 600-foot home runs if you get everybody roided up. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Yeah, it's like, you know, national pastime or whatever for the longest, and people just people put too much into it sometimes. So that's what it used to be. Now it's maybe not. I think football's taken over a bit, but again, they nerf football so much, it's just like, ugh, whatever. It gets annoying sometimes too. But yeah, anyway. Let me give a shout out to my sponsor, of course, Noctane smelling salts. These are probably just completely dead at this point, but I always give it a shot just to see if I can get anything out of it, considering I like the product, of course. But when it runs out, it's sad because then let me find the label. There it is. Because then I don't have it, but I should have some soon. I know they were on their way. So let me see if I can get anything out of this. I mean, it's there, barely there. Yeah, Palomalo was cool. My wife's team is the Steelers, and my older daughter's team is the Steelers. Yeah, I got nothing in these. So yeah, Palomalo was cool. But my team's always been the Colts. Of course, back in the day, Dan Marino, man. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of old school. I never really had a complete favorite football player, to be honest with you. So, yeah. But anyway, thanks to Noctane. Appreciate the sponsorship as always, and I'm looking forward to that new bottle. Definitely going to make good use of that when I get it. So scan that QR code if you want to give it a shot or learn more about smelling salts. There's a link in the description below. It's always there. You can go to any of my videos, and you'll find the link in the description if you ever want to go, take a shot at using some smelling salts. They're good, I promise. I thought she was a Falcon. That's my older daughter's the Steelers fan. My younger daughter is a Falcons fan for sure. Always has been. So I got one of each. Do you remember the day you drafted Peyton Manning? No, I have a horrible memory. If I really thought about it, I don't even know what year it was, honestly. I don't even know, because I wasn't like I didn't have a team for a long time. Then my wife forced me to choose, and I was playing Madden all the time. And who I was playing on Madden was the Patriots and the Colts all the time. So what up, Tyler? Appreciate you for coming back. Yeah, I was playing with the Patriots and the Colts at the time, and I'm like, I didn't want to be a Patriot bandwagoner, so I jumped in on the Colts, and I've been a fan of the Colts ever since. So I don't even know what year that was either, but it was back when I was playing video games and playing Madden. So not yet, Tyler.
Bruh.
Yeah, so anyway, let's get to it, because we got some stuff to talk about, and I definitely am, I'm feeling ready to talk about some of this Ronda Rousey stuff. So here we go. MVP MMA, Netflix MMA, whatever you want to call it, they're teaming up, Netflix and MVP, for this MMA card. As we know, Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, both fighters coming back 10 plus years for each of them, and they're finally coming back to fighting. Gina Carano looks as good as ever. Of course, her younger self was amazing, but she had some health problems and some issues with substances and stuff like that for a long time. So the real Ultimate Fighting Championship. A lot of people are saying it's more like the old UFC, just trying to make its way back. But yeah, when it comes down to it, Gina's back in shape and ready to fight, and as much as she seems just like a little sweetheart and stuff, she still has that fire. When you talk to her about her finding out if she has some of that fierceness still in her because of how nice she seems to be, she talks about how she's definitely ready to do what she needs to do in that cage because she wants to win. And during this press conference, you see a little bit of that. I didn't actually get that part in on this video that I'm about to show. Yeah, she clapped back at Kayla. Yeah, Ronda went in on Kayla Harrison, and like I said, Gina put in on that a little bit too, because what it all spanned from was Kayla Harrison calling Ronda Rousey irrelevant, basically, because she was asked on Gamebred's it's called the Death Row podcast, which is kind of crazy. And she basically didn't want to answer any questions, and Gamebred was like, well, listen, me and this dude will talk about it, you can just sit over there and look pretty or whatever. That's what he told Kayla. I don't know if he said that part, but it's kind of the way he was making it sound. And then she's like, well, I mean, if you're gonna make me talk about it, so oh my god, Tyler. But anyway, then she just jumped in and was like, you know what, fine. And, I think that Ronda Rousey is irrelevant, blah, 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 blah. She hasn't fought in 10 years and, this, that, and the other thing. And so Ronda had something to say about that, and she took it out on this press conference, and everyone was fucking loving it. But you had Nate Diaz and Mike Perry making their first appearance for this card at a press conference, because last time we just had Ngannou and Lins and Rousey and Carano, and this time Diaz and Perry jumped in now that they're on the card. Three-way fight. What are you thinking about? Oh man,
Bruh.
you know. So yeah, they finally came on, and Diaz and Ngannou kind of teamed up on the whole we're free fighters. We can do what we want. We're not under the, you know, basically under the thumb of the UFC right now. So we're, you know, we're kind of living it up. And they kind of made that known, because I think Diaz said it first, and then Ngannou kind of followed up, because Ngannou's been talking about this forever now. So they kind of got those little jabs in there, making it known that they're happy that they're out and about doing what they want to do and not having to be doing only what the UFC wants them to do. And Mike Perry seemed like he was a little reserved. He was wearing a Diaz shirt. It was Nick Diaz in the forefront with the two birds. We had Nick Diaz in the background flipping the bird too, and it was just kind of a cool shirt. But PFL crying in the corner right now. Yup. You know he's gonna cry in the car. But yeah, so that was cool. That was a cool little paying homage to Nick Diaz, but the Diaz brothers both, you know, because he said that, you know, they're iconic guys, they're fucking legends, but he's there to do his job, and that's to fight in the cage and see what he can do with Diaz. He seemed a little reserved, and he seemed a little bit like he just wanted to talk a bunch of shit, but Diaz wasn't giving into that. He wasn't really talking shit directly to Mike Perry, and I think Perry was expecting that, so he was thrown off a little bit. So in this press conference, he didn't say a whole lot. Ronda went off about the money situation and fighter pay and all that stuff, and Perry was just like, hey, listen, I mean, it ain't about the money for me, it's about winning, and I'm in here to win. So yeah, but for me, it's like, why would Nate have a problem with Dana? He paid him well. I don't think he has a problem with Dana specifically, because he didn't specify anything except for, you know, just the UFC stuff. And I think he knows and understands what other people's frustrations are, and you know, he knows that the only way he's gonna get the money that he really thinks he deserves is just to fight the fights that only they want him to fight. And I think that's what the problem he has with things is, that he doesn't want to be told what to do. He wants to tell them what he wants, and for them to make it happen. And the UFC just doesn't seem to work that way anymore. And the UFC probably sees him as a, hey, you're only good for this and this type shit, right? And Diaz doesn't deal with that. He doesn't play. So I think that's what he was more referring to. When's Dennis getting on MVP? Yeah, no shit. So yeah, I think that was Nate's part in all of that. And because, you know, it seemed like they just want him to come back and fight Conor only. And he said, I want to fight Conor when I'm ready to fight Conor. And I don't think fighting Conor right now is a good thing, because he's basically, he said he's a one-legged guy trying to make his way back, and he ain't about shit right now. He's coming off losses and all this other shit with a broken leg. So I think he wants him to come in and see if he can garner some attention again before he comes back and tries to fight him, even though we all know that you come in and fight McGregor at any point in time, and it's gonna get you a bag, and it's gonna get all the attention, especially with the state of the UFC right now. Not sure if you caught the Mike Perry interview with Ariel. I thought Mike shared more in-depth perspective about himself than I ever have seen. Yes, that's actually a great point, because he was on Ariel Helwani's show before the press conference. So was Gina Carano. They were both very good interviews. And Perry was very outspoken. He had a lot to say, and he really shared a lot of thoughts, in-depth thoughts about things with Ariel, which is why I thought it was kind of weird that he was so reserved in the press conference. And like I said, I think he was ready for the Nate that we got when he was up against, you know, Jake Paul, when where he was kind of talking shit, you know, and then when he's up against Conor, where it was like all out fucking chaos, throwing water bottles, flipping each other off, talking mad shit, yelling at each other. Introspective Perry impression. There's not much to do an impression of, man. He talks very slow. I mean, he doesn't have a distinct voice. I mean, he kind of does, but you know, he just, it's not, there's not a whole lot there. Unfortunately, I did listen to the interview, but you know, trying to remember it in a way to impersonate him is tough, because he doesn't have a whole lot going on. Like Nate, you know, like I can't do an impersonation of Nate, but he has a real distinct way of talking and the things that he says. So anyway, let's get to this Ronda Rousey clip, because and I'll be honest with you, it's a little over 2 minutes, but I'm gonna kind of pause here and there. And the video is not the greatest quality, but that's, you know, has to do with some of the ways that to get away with trying to play some clips on here, just because, you know, I'm trying not to get in trouble with you know, the platform and all that stuff. So I know that there's different ways of doing it, but you know, this is one of the ways, is just to not rip it completely directly off of somewhere that might get you in trouble. So if the quality is not great, that's why. It's not because I couldn't get it any better, it's because I just left it. So I try to bring good quality shit for the visuals, but sometimes you got to just do what you got to do. But there's this is going to be interesting, I feel like. So let's get to it. I'm happy she's getting paid, but I think she's just hurt Dana didn't pay her. Yeah, like I've said in the past when we talked about it, I feel like if UFC would have paid her the money, her and Gina, the money that they were asking for, that they feel like they deserve and that Ronda thought she should get, they would be there and they wouldn't be saying shit. So that's the unfortunate part. But you know, the stuff that she's saying now is pretty interesting, and it's a fun little beef going on here. So let's get to this Ronda clip. Here we go.
Well, Gina is so relevant that she's the whole reason that the 145-pound division even exists. And I am so relevant that the only reason she has a job at the UFC is because of me.
So obviously she's talking about how, you know, Kayla was talking about her being irrelevant. So she's just playing off of that, saying, giving the good reasons, giving Gina her props, and also telling people why she's relevant, regardless of what anybody might think.
Kayla is so irrelevant that she couldn't even keep the 145-pound division around. And honestly, she's just sour because no matter what she does or what she accomplishes, she can't change the fact that she has the charisma of a wet towel.
Damn.
Damn, son.
The charisma of a wet towel. That is, I mean, that's an interesting way to put it, but I can understand why she would say something like that. Like, Kayla can be fiery and Kayla can say some things, but she really is just kind of, she doesn't get overly animated about things. She'll start talking some shit. She might get a little crazy with some of the words that she says, but I don't think it takes one to know one. No shit, Johnny. Because yeah, we know Ronda is, that's the thing here. Ronda got fired up because she was called irrelevant, and she feels like she's not relevant, especially right now when in the past she's kind of been what you would, the definition of irrelevant, because no one's talking to her or talking about her in the media, you know, throughout the years. And now she's making a comeback. So now she's like, you can't say I'm irrelevant. I'm fucking here, about to fight again. I'm garnering all this attention. The numbers in the social media platforms and on YouTube and everything else, whenever we have these events, are crazy. So she thinks. I mean, I don't know that they're as crazy as maybe other events and stuff like that are. But yeah, she feels like right now is not the time to call her irrelevant. And so she gets mad. She takes things very seriously. She doesn't fucking let it go, and she holds grudges. Why Ronda look like she on roids with those traps? Yeah, no shit, huh? Who knows, man? Let's keep going.
And will always be in me and Gina's shadow. So the next time she wants to talk shit, she can consider who paved the road that she's walking on. Oh wait, she can't look down at her feet because she's too busy holding onto the belt in a neck brace. Oh. And then she goes on and says that I lied about training in judo in Canada in like 2006.
So, you know, first of all, it's a little bit of a low blow, because her talking about the neck brace thing. Yeah, because she says she paved the way. Her and Gina paved the way, and you know, she's saying that Kayla should look down at the road that you know that they paved, but she can't because the neck brace thing. I'm just like, damn, man. You can tell she feels really disrespected off her legacy. Yeah, no doubt. And then so now, you know, people always bring up the fact that her and Kayla, you know, doing the judo thing back in the day, trained together and this, that, and the other thing. And that's what she's getting into now.
Like, who the fuck are you to call me a liar, okay? I was training there for 5 months. Bitch, you weren't even there, okay? Over the last decade and a half of being a public figure, I have cultivated a reputation for being unabashedly truthful. This bitch just got here and was already caught in a lie. What did she say after she won the belt? She said, oh, I'm never going to say anything bad about Ronda. She took care of me when I was broke in Japan and bought me groceries. How about you shut the fuck up and eat your groceries?
There's that Ronda. There's that Ronda, that fiery Ronda that gets a little bit out of hand and makes you cringe a little bit. Ronda desperate, choosing to fight someone is being fired and canceled. Is Ronda top 3 female martial artists of all time? Listen, Tyler says no, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, because because she put forward, she's kind of like in the same realm as Connor. They put the sport forward in a way that other people couldn't. They brought it more to the mainstream, and Ronda was the girl that broke the mold because Dana kept saying women will never fight in the UFC. And for her to be the one to change that mind, yeah, Johnny, that's a great way to put it. Ronda top 3 in terms of popularity for sure. But you got to remember, the women's divisions aren't very deep. They're not extremely Amanda, Valentina, Chris, Cyborg, right? And Ronda. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about Cyborg though. I mean, Ronda have a nasty attitude and bad reputation. That's why her song's Bad Reputation. No doubt. Hey, listen, I posted some things on, you know, I posted this video with the little extras and stuff on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, I got people liking the videos and stuff, but at the same time, I got people commenting saying, hey, you know, this is just Ronda being annoying and Ronda's stupid and all this other shit. So yeah, people don't like it, and I get it, because that's exactly how I've been in the past. Like Ronda just it makes me cringe, and it's just like secondhand embarrassment type shit. Kind of like with the Josh Hokett stuff, except you know, Ronda's serious, and that's what kind of makes it worse. But like, she has 6 belts at home. I think she was ahead of her time 100%. Yeah, and you know, she was the first ever women's champion. She got handed the belt, but she did, you know, she did in the beginning of the division, she did defend that belt multiple times. But could she do it these days? I don't know. I don't know if she was still in her prime. Could she do it these days? I think the women are a little more well-rounded these days, but that's the evolution of the sport, the evolution of a fighter. So Kat Zingano, Betch Kohea, and one more. I can name one more. Miesha Tate. There's your three Ronda wins. I can name them, but I don't know if anyone else can. I think people have to understand what it means to have world-class accomplishments. Like Tom Brady's ego is massive, but he doesn't get to show it. Ronda of the best one-trick pony. Betch Cat. Yeah, there you go, Antoine. Exactly. What's up, Christian? How you doing? Welcome back. Appreciate you. Cat was undefeated. Oh, and then Girl Rilla. What was her first opponent's name? I forgot her actual name. Cat was undefeated and Ronda smoked her. Yeah, but that was Cat being stupid. But Ronda definitely pulled through. I mean, she got that handed to her, and she definitely she got that hand wrapped gift, and she demolished it. So she did the right thing. But that was Cat being very stupid, and that was a dumbass game plan. But yeah, she still did it, and she kind of took apart Cat. I don't know. Ronda's takedowns are dope. Yeah, I mean, it's the judo, man. All right, let's keep going.
And her and Hunter trying to act like her next upcoming fight is the biggest women's fight of all time. Then why is it being booked as a co-main for a men's interim title fight? Okay, the bitch isn't even bigger than Patty the Baddie.
What do you say fuck me for?
You know that's what Patty's thinking. What'd she say fuck me for? But you know, she made a little mistake there saying that that Hunter and her are talking about her upcoming fight. Well, you know, that was the fight that was supposed to happen in January, and obviously, you know, Kayla got hurt. And so Patty and Justin got that, you know, but that was the title fight regardless. So Tua, by the way, you've been gone, man. Where the fuck you been at? Welcome back. Appreciate you for jumping in. But it's hard to be the world-class martial arts and make it look easy. Like, that's really hard. Cat finished Amanda. Hunter's wife gonna beat up Ronda. All right, let's keep going.
Hey, the bitch isn't even bigger than Patty the Baddie. No offense to Patty. I think he's got more potential than anybody in the UFC, and he should call me when his contract runs out.
Now she's trying to poach UFC fighters after she kind of dissed him and Patty caught a stray. She kind of runs it back and is like, no. I don't think Patty's, nothing against him, but so she's playing the promoter card here, and that's kind of good because she said she could be the MVP's Dana White. Maybe not hit their Conor McGregor, but they're Dana White. She's kind of being a little bit of both right now. We'll see what she does in the fight. She's in incredible shape. Look at her collarbone and shoulders. Yeah, I mean, you can obviously tell even just by seeing her upper body.
But here's another contradiction that I think is a fucking kicker. Is if she thinks that her fight is the biggest women's fight of all time, why is she getting paid less now than I was 10 years ago?
See, that right there, I mean, if that's true, but here's the thing, Ronda, you have to remember, you were the one that broke the mold. You were the one that came in at the time that they started paying fighters that much. Conor McGregor times, Ronda Rousey times. That's why they say that. She's almost built like Kayla. I don't know about that, man. Kayla's fucking huge. I don't know that Ronda could ever be as big as Kayla, not muscular wise. But I feel like Ronda, she got paid that much for a reason because she was the one carrying the women's division. She was the one helping carry the UFC on her back with Conor. So of course they're going to pay her that much. Now, yeah, the argument can be said, Kayla isn't making that kind of an impact in the UFC right now, especially with the way she started. With the way she started in the UFC, it wasn't the most exciting shit. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It was a different time, but you got to think that amount of time goes by and you're still not making as much as she did back then. That is tough. But she was selling out arenas as a woman in MMA like Amanda hasn't done that like that, only like UFC 289. Yeah, and that, I mean, but again, it's a consequence of the circumstance, you know what I mean? And it's, I mean, not a consequence in a bad way, but I'm just saying it's the outcome of the circumstance she was in. Of course, everyone's gonna sell. She comes out and finishes people quickly with an armbar, and she was being dominant. Maybe that speaks to the greatness and maybe that backs up what she's saying. Maybe Kayla's not doing that. Kayla's not bringing the attention, and Kayla hasn't really revived the women's division like maybe she should have. That's how she could have made her mark, was revive the women's division and bring back the type of excitement and anticipation for women's fights like Ronda did. Because arguably, the state of the women's divisions right now is not great. So why isn't Kayla running through the division like Ronda did? Because people said for a few years there, for a while there, said that Ronda, especially after she got beat and went away, people were saying Ronda wouldn't survive in today's UFC because the level of competition is different and better. So if she was running through the fighters of old because they weren't that great, well, now we say that the women's division is not great anyway. It's not a deep division. There's not a whole lot going on there, and there's no stars. So why isn't Kayla running through that division if she's as good as she says she is? Yeah, she may not have lost yet in the UFC, and she may only have one loss on her career, but why isn't she doing those things to make herself as relevant as she thinks she is? So, like it was some of the Conor stuff, she was talking shit and looking great, Yeah, Ronda's going to bulldoze Gina. Man, unfortunately, I think that might be the case, but who knows? Ronda made a lot of money, but asked for donations to create a graphic novel a while back. Ronda would do just fine in today's division, probably. For me, though, it's like, what's after this, though? Does she chase an MVP belt? No, I don't think so. The women have been going ham, though. Lately, Tua, for sure. They've been doing a lot better. But, I don't know. I don't know. It's a thing. Let's finish this up.
So riddle me this, bitch. Are you overvalued or are you underpaid? And what really pisses me off more than anything else, yeah, I'm not fucking done, is how small she thinks. This is not just the biggest women's fight of all time. This is the biggest MMA fight of all time. It's going to get the most views on the biggest platform, on a card with the biggest stars, and it was all assembled by and will be headlined by two women who dare to dream big. And this dream is going to bring more opportunities and greater revenue share to fighters than they've ever had before, because this fight is bigger than just me and Gina, and it's bigger than anybody on this stage. It represents an unstoppable force of change in this industry, spearheaded by the fighters themselves. Bet your fucking ass this is the biggest MMA fight of all time, bar none.
See, there's that Ronda. There's that Ronda. Like I said at the end, you could just tell by the look on her face here. Perfect pause, still frame, I guess, because there's that Ronda that we get annoyed with. And you know what she's saying, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what she's saying is true. The biggest MMA fight of all time. Like, yes, it's great to have Nate Diaz, who considers himself the BMF, because he made that shit up, but he didn't win it, and that's unfortunate. I hate saying that because he is one of my favorite fighters. But Mike Perry, the king of violence, but only has been proven in bare knuckle. He didn't do that well in the UFC while he was there. You know, he had a little bit of a long, you know, stand there, but he didn't do anything crazy with it. He gets out of there, you know, and he starts bare knuckle fighting and does okay. And then he just all of a sudden hits a streak and gets to be great in bare knuckle and the face of bare knuckle. And then he goes out and fights Jake Paul and loses, and then it just kind of dwindles for him a little bit. So that part kind of sucks, but you know, he is still considered the king of violence. And it seems like Nate and Masvidal don't respect each other as much as before. Yeah, and you know, with Mike Perry, it's like he's not like, he's a star, but I don't know that you know, it's not like having Connor on there, and it's kind of difficult to come up on that. But and then Francis Ngannou, sure, he's a star, but Philippe Lins, I mean, he might be somewhat of a formidable opponent for Ngannou, but I don't think anybody's thinking Lins is going to win this fight, for one, and for two. You know, if they would have gotten a really big name to fight Francis Ngannou, then that might have made a difference. So imagine, you know, Brock Lesnar level is crazy, but because I also don't think Brock's ever going to fight again. But, you know, if they would have gotten somebody even close to that caliber to fight Francis Ngannou, that would have made this even bigger and better. So, you know, I have mixed emotions on this card, and I have mixed emotions about what Ronda said. I do feel like she carried the UFC at a time that the UFC didn't necessarily need it, so that kind of proves her a little more to be as popular as she was. But it was, again, the circumstance, being the first woman fighter, defending the belt multiple times in dramatic and you know, exciting ways, you know, being the character that she was. She wound up in the WWE afterwards because she had the mic skills. Whether you call it cringe or get annoyed by it, she had the skills on the mic. She could talk the shit, she could play the game, and yeah. So we'll see, though. We'll see. She's coming off of losses. So is Gina, though. Gina's last fight was against Chris Cyborg, where she got annihilated. So both these women are coming off of really big bad losses. Ronda being 2 in a row, and she's saying a lot of big things to get herself recognized and noticed. But what's the fight really going to be? Until we see how this fight goes, I don't know that we're going to know a whole lot from this. Ronda's talking about, you know, the lowest anyone's going to get paid, the lowest amount of money anyone will get paid is 40 grand. And that's better than, you know, the lowest in the UFC or anywhere else, really. So I think that's some of the big reasons for why she's saying all this stuff, thinking that, you know, the fighters are driving this and they're getting, you know, their part. But still, you know, the card has some decent fights on the undercard. They lost the Lorenz Larkin fight that a lot of people were looking forward to against Jackson. That fight's off the card. Lorenz got hurt. That's the thing, Antoine. I don't know if it delivers, because what does Nate Diaz and Mike Perry have to offer if they both fight like they did against Jake Paul? But that's the thing, it's not boxing, it's different. Just like Mike Perry does great in bare knuckle. Yeah, the Larkin fight is off, unfortunately. That sucks. Yeah, because I was kind of looking forward to it. But the you know, Mike Perry does great in bare knuckle, but we see when he gets out of bare knuckle, he doesn't do as well. Nate Diaz claims he wasn't feeling it. He wasn't feeling great, wasn't feeling right for that Jake Paul fight. He says he still feels like he won. So we have to be real, you know, this is just old UFC fighters. Like, none of this is new and fresh. Imagine if this was under the banner of Bellator. Remember Bellator, right? We had Randy Couture, Frank Shamrock, fucking you know, all of these UFC fighters that were big names in the UFC going over to Bellator, and all people would talk about is how this is the retirement league. Well, we have two women who are fighting in Netflix MVP, who one hasn't fought in 10 years, the other one hasn't fought in like 16 years or some shit like that. So if this was a Bellator fight, would we feel the same way? Would we be like, Bellator's making big moves? I don't know. Would we? Because we didn't when Bellator was getting all the fighters. Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz. Tito didn't fight in Bellator, did he? Or did he? I don't know. But this was a PFL. I wouldn't even know it happened. Yeah, no shit. The only problem is no matter what, MMA fans don't care to pay attention to anything other than UFC. So of course they did. Option is post UFC fighters. Oh, got you. Okay. Now I get that, Junior. I get that. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that follow MMA don't follow anything more than just UFC, and I'm guilty of that too, to a certain extent. But I've followed UFC for like 20 years at this point, which is why I continue to follow UFC the closest, and it's always been my favorite thing. But yeah, it's just, you know, it is the biggest organization out there too, so it's again, victim of the circumstance type shit. Like the two fighters in the main event are 44 and 39, no disrespect, but it's like, who really fucking cares about this card? They don't affect anything. I want to see Ronda and Kayla in a street fight. Yeah, so the thing that it affects is, can they do it? What kind of traction is this card gonna have? And I think they're waiting to see what this card does numbers wise. Are people really going to be interested? I've seen a lot of mixed reactions to the press conferences and stuff, saying, oh, the numbers on this is atrocious compared to anything the UFC does, and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's tough. Also, this winning card pick just sucks, man. I know, I try to be positive about it. It's not the worst card out there, but it's not the best either. Obviously, it's not that great. UFC pay-per-views affect other ones in the future, which is a cool part. What's your favorite fight on this card, though? I mean, I would have to say Perry and Diaz for sure, because there's that potential for them to fight like the fighters that we know that they can't live up to, the potential that we know they can live up to. So that's definitely my favorite fight on the card. Close second though is Ronda and Gina. I love seeing Gina back, but is she too old? Has her body taken too much you know, damage from all of the bad years of health and all that stuff? So I don't know, because they can't build a whole roster. What are they going to do? Keep picking up former UFC? Yeah, I know, that's kind of what it is. I would love to see Ryzen be more successful. Only problem is they strike. Oh yeah, they fight at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Yeah. Oh, they stream. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, that happens over in what, Japan or whatever. So that's why. So yeah, it's tough to have them be as big as the UFC, considering their demographic, their you know, it's just like one championship, kind of hard for them to gain traction when they're not fighting in the prime time of the US. Because I feel like you know, it can be big outside of the US for sure, but until the US gets it and runs with it, people don't pay attention to it here, and this is one of the biggest places to have that gain traction. You know, Ronda and Gina probably gonna get the okay to use steroids and other drugs, maybe so. Patchy Mix just got slammed in Ryzen. Yeah. Jack Della versus Carlos Prates card is at 4 a.m. Is it? Where is that one happening at? I can't even remember. Oh shit, it is happening at 4 a.m. Holy fuck. Well, looks like I might be waking up early and doing a fight of a watch party for that. Australia? Yeah, that's right. JDM. Crazy. I forgot about that. I didn't even realize it was coming up that quick, so I hadn't really paid attention. But yeah, I think we have to just wait and see how this card does. That's really going to tell us everything. Are we going to get exciting fights? And if so, is it a fluke? Is it a one-time thing? Are they going to continue to build cards? I think they're waiting to see. I think they're waiting to see how this goes before they make any decisions on that. So we'll see. Patchy mix of I think you meant a bum, but yes. Anyway, that's all I had for this. And yeah, for me, actually, the main card for that fight is at 4 a.m. But that's because I'm in Arizona. I'm in Arizona. So the prelims start at 1 a.m. and the main card starts at 4 a.m. which I'm not too worried about it. I might actually get up and do a fight night or a watch party for that fight night card. So that'd be cool. Anyway, let's move on real quick to something a little bit different. And that'd be D-Rod. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but this week he got released from prison in Mexico. He's been in prison for 8 months, which is absolutely nuts. Now, my only problem with this is that, you know, he started off the interview with Ariel talking about how he made a mistake. He forgot that there was he forgot about a little baggie of weed that he had in his vehicle. But then he later goes and says, well, you know, the weed in Mexico sucks. And, you know, I was just trying to get a little bit over there to have some fun. And then he said, oh, yeah, you know, I pulled over and I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't do this. You know, maybe I shouldn't chant it. And then he said, fuck it. They won't find it. And then they did. So, you know, that is one of those things that it just kind of looks bad for him, but it doesn't matter. He's out of prison now. It sucks for anybody to go to prison for 8 months for fucking weed, but it's Mexico, man. They do what they want. They do what they want over there, and they take things differently over there. So his statement was, 8 months in a cage in Tijuana, Mexico never killed my spirit. I did everything possible to stay on point and ready for my return to the UFC octagon. Expect a hungrier, more focused version of myself. They tried to take it all away. Now it's time for me to come back and show you all the monster prison created. Thank you to legal and management team, family, and real friends to help me be a free man today. So yeah, I can only imagine how he felt when they said 8 months. Yeah, no shit. D-Rod is definitely lying about something. Holy shit, why the card so early? I have work in the mornings on Saturdays. I don't want to miss JDM. Oh yeah, it's because it's in Australia, Junior. So they're trying to do prime time for over there, and they only do that usually for fight night cards. So yeah, unfortunately, you're gonna have to watch the replay of that one. Should have been affiliated. I mean, he looks like he is, but he probably thought it was going to be like 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, he said, oh shit, he was going on vacation. I guess he was with a chick. She had to spend the 8 months in jail too. Unfortunately, that's kind of crazy. So I was curious that your thoughts were, couldn't believe his girl did time too. Yeah, at 78 Northwest. Yeah, for sure, man. It's so crazy. The girl he was with did the time too, which is fucking nuts, man. So and she got out with him, which is awesome. But yeah, so he affected someone else's life too for his decision. But yeah, I just feel like it was a weird way the way he started the interview. But I'm just happy he's out. You know, I don't think anybody should spend that much time in jail for fucking weed. And he said he tried to pay them off. Like, that's kind of what you can do in Mexico. They'll shake you down for whatever money you have. But this time he couldn't get out of it. And, you know, he's like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm going to spend overnight in jail and then be able to get out, or maybe the weekend. But a weekend, what he thought was going to be a weekend or maybe a week, turned into fucking 8 months. So people kept wondering where he was, you know, talking about him being missing. And then the rumors spread that he was in prison in Mexico. And I thought it was fake. I thought it was just a rumor. I thought people were just making shit up. And then come to find out that was the truth. And now he's out. So he did say that he made friends in there. People started to realize who he was. And he thought that was going to be a bad thing for him. It turned out to be a good thing. And he got some people to watch his back in there, and were able to kind of hook him up with some things. You know, he basically had a phone. He was able to talk to his family and stuff. I think the Kevin Holland thing was just hype. I never heard any confirmation on that. He didn't talk about that at all, and Helwani didn't even ask about it. But yeah, so he said he was supposed to get out in March, and they wound up pushing it, and then, you know, damn it, Tyler. Pretty cool with Paramount. You can stream the fight literally right after it concludes. Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's out. It just, and you know, and then he talked about how some shit went down right after he got out when he was on his way back, and some older guy was fucking with him or something before he even got out of Mexico. And he said he got out of the car, contemplated doing something, and then oh no, Christian, I was talking about the Australia card with Jack Della Maddalena versus Carlos Prates. That I'll do a watch party for that one, but that's gonna be at like 4 a.m. So if you want to wake up and watch it with me, yeah. Otherwise though, I haven't talked about the UFC or the fight card for this weekend just yet. I'm gonna hit that up here in just a minute, but yeah, I'm not gonna be doing no fight nights no watch parties for the fight nights unless they're like at different times. But yeah, so I'm glad D-Rod's out. He said that he feels like he needs to change some things and make sure he stays out of trouble, because he still has some lingering stuff from this sentence that he had and stuff. But I'm hoping for the best for him, and hopefully he comes back and is able to get a fight soon and do well. So yeah, moving on. The other event happening this weekend is RAF 8, Real American Freestyle Wrestling, the eighth match that they've had happening on Saturday. Is that Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. And we got Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo in the main event, and then we got Arman Tsarukyan versus Uriah Faber. So, oh, right on, Christian. Yeah, 4 a.m. time for the main card for me. That's what time the main card starts for me. So, but yeah, Christian, you're here too. So yeah, it'll be 4 a.m. UFC be on some nut with some of these bonuses. Yeah, so I mean, I did see earlier that some sort of incident happened with Arman Tsarukyan where he got kicked off his plane as he was heading to Philadelphia for this card. So I assume he probably got another plane or something, but I don't know. I read that he was like looking at his phone or something during takeoff, which doesn't make sense. I don't know why that would matter. I know they tell you to put your phones away or whatever, but maybe somebody tried to tell him something and he thought he didn't have to do what they said, and then they just kicked him off the plane. I don't know what the whole story was. I didn't really get to look into it too deeply. I just saw it right before I came in here. So what they do, Laguna Goon Beaches lifeguard like that, what the fuck? What? Or are you talking about Faber? Yeah, I don't know that Faber stands a chance against Tsarukyan. I mean, we see Tsarukyan doing big things against tougher opponents than even Faber is, and Faber's pretty small, so who knows. I think Merab and Cejudo will probably be interesting matchup. Cejudo being more of the traditional style wrestler that might do well in this, but Merab is just a machine. That's why that's his nickname. So yeah, but the rest of this card, not bad. Nobody I really recognize except for Lance Palmer down there. That's about it. How do you feel about Uriah competing at this age? I think this is the right things for him to be doing. I just feel like it's crazy that he's fighting Tsarukyan or wrestling Tsarukyan. So yeah, it's kind of nuts. Same thing happened to Khabib. Oh yeah, these guys, yeah, they have trouble on planes. That's why they should all be flying private at this point. I'm surprised Tsarukyan wasn't flying private. It's kind of weird, considering supposedly he has all this money, but who knows. But anyway, that'll be interesting to see. I'm sure he's made his way there already. If not, he will. He'll find a way. But yeah, it's an interesting couple matchups there at the top of this card, and Raf has been pretty good, so might try to catch that. Anyway, let's get to this UFC Winnipeg card. Like I said before, it's not the best one in the world, but pronounce the guy wrestling Julia's name. Hold on, let me go back. Can I go back? There we go. Oh my god. No wonder you tried to get me. Hold on, let me see. let me see if I can. It can Chigashvili? Chinchigashvili? I don't fucking know, man. That's a tough ass one. Holy shit, I'm not even gonna try that anymore. Yeah, you can say this.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, because you got me on that one. Fuck that. What is that name? I have no idea. That's a lot, man. PJ's like 20 grand per flight. No, I know. But, you know, Armin talks about all this money he's got and shit. So that's all I was saying. Kitchen Dashvili. That's pretty much. Anyway, so we got Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott here for UFC Winnipeg. You know, it's like Gilbert Burns, man. Tough. It's been tough for him. And, you know, fighting Mike Malott in his hometown, which I think he usually does pretty well. It's, you know, Gilbert Burns is on a 4-fight losing streak, and that just says a lot. But he's been fighting super high level opponents as well. Mike Malott's pretty good. He's only got 2 losses on his record, and only one of those have been in the UFC. He's on a three fight win streak, so it's a tough matchup up on top there for Gilbert Burns. And, you know, but he pulls through with some wins sometimes. It's just been a minute since he's won, so we'll break that down here in just a minute. But 34, soon 35-year-old prospect. Do you have any family up in Canada, and would you ever visit? All expenses. I mean, I would definitely visit Canada for sure. I don't know anybody in Canada though. Gilbert Burns gonna go on a title run. Trust, it was promised to us 3,000 years ago. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, we're gonna continue on the trend of doing the main card first, and then go into the prelims. So we'll start from the bottom and get to the top, to the main event, and then we'll hit up those prelims. So starting with Thiago Moises versus Gage Young. Starting off this nasty little city. Oh, I've never been there. I never really heard much about Winnipeg either. So, yeah. But Thiago Moises versus Gage Young happening in the lightweight division. Moises coming off a loss. Gage Young coming off a win. We got 8-7 for Moises in the UFC. 1-1 for Young. Young's never been finished on the feet, while Moises is 4-3 by KO TKO, 8-1 by sub, 1-1 for Young, and 7-5 by decision for Moises, and 3-2 for Young. So you can see the submission column there being the main one for Moises with the 8 wins by submission, only losing once, and Gage Young having 6 wins in that KO TKO column with no losses. So he'll be looking to keep that on the feet, while Moises will probably be looking more to take it to the ground and catch a sub. Moises is a fight away from the Brazilian 10. So yeah, Moises is one of those guys that, like, I don't want to say like gatekeeper, because he's not at that high status, but he's definitely one of those guys that, like, is a test for the younger fighters. You know, he's fought big names like Islam and Benil. But if you're not a legit fighter, he kind of has a way of exposing you. Okay, Tyler, appreciate you for jumping in. Thanks, man. Have a good one. And Gage Young is like a younger, explosive fighter that, you know, if he can make his way past Moises, it's a good thing, and he'll probably get a bigger, you know, more well-known opponent past that. You know, he's all about the pace. He controls the pace. He puts up a lot of percentage of striking. 5.7 significant strikes per minute, 51% accuracy, which is pretty good. So he pretty much doubles up Moises' numbers in that column, so in the volume. So yeah, I mean, it's more about slower pace, grappling heavy, you know, controlling submissions for Moises, while you get the faster paced, high volume striker in Gage Young. Wants to keep it standing and outwork you on the feet, and possibly get that big KO highlight win. So it's one of those types of fights. Could be interesting for sure, and we'll see what we can get out of this one with the first fight of the night in the prelims. But next up, we have a women's fight, which is Jasmine Jasudavicius, of course, in Canada. She's going to be fighting there, and that's always a sure bet when it comes to whether or not she'll be fighting on a card in Canada. But she is 37 years old. I didn't realize she was, in her late 30s. I kind of thought she was probably like 32, like Karine Silva, but she's 37. And yeah, let me double check that, because I feel like, yeah, she's 37. That's fucking crazy. They're both coming off of losses. Jasudavicius hasn't lost a fight by submission, while Karine Silva has 9 wins by submission, but lost twice as well. Jasmine's, most of her wins come by decision, while Silva has a combination of subs and KO TKOs with 8 and 9 in those. So why is what crazy? Her age? I just thought Jasmine was younger than that. That's all. I just thought she was younger, so it just took me by surprise, kind of. I mean, she's 37, which, she just seems younger than that. That's all. I don't really know. But anyway, Jasmine's never been submitted, and she does have 4 wins in that column. So Karine Silva might be trying to take that to the ground. But she also she's got a little bit of everything for Silva, and I feel like that might be something that Jasmine might struggle with a little bit. It might take her a minute to figure out Silva. But I mean, she does have more control time overall. She is better with the wrestling. She does put out a higher volume of strikes. So, oh yeah, for sure, man. She's kind of pretty, not gonna lie. Yeah, she's all right. Sometimes she does. Sometimes she looks good, I guess. She's one of those like fighters where in certain aspects she does, in certain times it's just whatever. But yeah, Jasmine's got that good clinch work as well. She mixes in the takedowns and she wins the minutes. That's why she has a lot of decision wins. Silva likes to be a little more chaotic. She attacks the submissions when she can and capitalize on any mistakes to get it to the ground and get those submissions in there too. So, I mean, this one could definitely be an interesting battle. I feel like we're probably going to get a decision win out of this one, but Jasudavicius lost her last fight to Manon Fiorot in the first round. It was kind of a quick one for her. It was kind of surprising too, considering Manon hadn't looked that great before that fight. But she beat Jessica Andrade by submission, got a performance in the night bonus there. Beat Mayra Bueno Silva by decision, beat Ariane Lipski by submission, also got a performance of the night bonus there too. I mean, you could see some of her latest wins have been by submission. So Karine Silva might not be the one to play that game with, but I mean, at least if Silva wants to take it to the ground, Jasmine has skills down there as well. So it's more going to be, who's going to stand out more on this night. Silva lost her last fight to Macy Barber by unanimous decision. I mean, all of her last 4 fights have been by decision, win or lose, and she's won 2 and lost 2. So this has potential to be a decent fight, but it could get kind of boring and just get a decision out of it as well. Jasmine has a decent, I mean, they both have a decent fighting style actually, where there might be some fireworks in this one, so you never know. Might be a sleeper. Let's move on to Mandel Nalo versus Jai Herbert, and we got Nalo on a 5-fight win streak coming into the UFC, making his UFC debut. Came from the Contender Series, so he hasn't won or lost any fights by decision. It's all been finishes: 8-2 by KO TKO, 6-1 by sub. He's got a 14-3 record overall. He's fighting Jai Herbert, and Jai Herbert's coming off a loss. He is 3-5 in the UFC. It's a tough record. 9-3 by KO TKO, 1-1 by sub, and 9-3 by decision. He's got the same record by decision as he does by finishing on the feet. So yeah, that's you're gonna get one or the other in those, unless Nalo takes it to the ground and gets that fight on the ground to get a submission. Damn. Nice view on my flag. Oh, right on. Thanks, 78 Northwest. I appreciate it. And this is actually one of the visuals that I actually make. Like, obviously the moving background and stuff, that's a template, but I put together all of the stats and the names and the pictures, everything that you see in the forefront I put together, and then I used a template on the background. So I appreciate that because I actually made this. So that it feels good to know that it looks good. And that's what I just try to make it interesting and keep it interesting and fresh. And I changed this one not that long ago, but I'll change it up again in the future. And but I try to make sure I throw some stats up there. And yeah, I just like to make the visuals good as I can. Another older guy, but arguably in his prime. Yeah, for sure. You're talking about Jai Herbert. Yeah, I mean, Nalo's only 1 year younger at 36, but yeah, there's a lot of thank you, Antoine. There's a lot of older fighters out there, but just a matter of what stage of their career they're at. So, oh, you meant Nalo. Okay. Yeah, coming from the Contender Series, making his UFC debut at 36 is kind of crazy, but he looked pretty good in that Contender Series fight where he won by TKO in the first round. Before that, he won a championship in another, lower organization by submission. So that was back in August of 24. So we'll see what he can do here against Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert, I mean, he's a tough opponent. I wouldn't say the toughest, but it's a good first opponent for Nalo. And we'll see if Nalo can come in and get his first UFC win right off the bat, or if Jai Herbert's going to bounce back from a loss. Yeah, for sure, Antoine. But yeah, I mean, who knows? This fight, I think this is one of those questionable fights. Like, could it be boring? Yeah. Could we get some fireworks out of it and have it be surprisingly entertaining? I think there's that potential as well. So let's move on to Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain. I feel like this is going to be a fun fight for the co-main event. Imagine he was working on a job with fighting on the regional scene, but now he can be a full-time fighter. Yeah, hopefully he can. But he's just making his debut, so we'll see how he does, how quickly he can rise. But we got Kyler Phillips, never been finished. He's 5-0 by KO, TKO, 2-0 by sub. Only has decision losses. He's 5-4 by decision, 6-3 in the UFC. He is coming off of 2 losses though, and both obviously by decision because he's never been finished on the feet or on the ground. Charles Jourdain though, he can finish people both on the feet and on the ground. He's 8-1 by KO, TKO, 7-1 by sub, 2-6 by decision. He doesn't have a great record by decision, so that might be in Kyler Phillips in his advantage there because he does have a winning record, but not by much. So I don't see it maybe going to decision. I feel like this fight might actually be a finish one way or the other. You got Charles Jourdain 8-7. He's a really fun fighter to, but Kyler Phillips is one of those guys too. They're both 30 years old. Phillips is coming off his 2 losses to Vinicius Oliveira, Lockdog, and Rob Font. Those are 2 tough opponents, both by decision. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak, 2 by decision, 1 by submission. So, but I think Charles Jourdain is the one that'll bring the action for sure. And I think Kyler Phillips will definitely have something to say in defense. So this is happening at bantamweight, and Charles Jourdain is on a 2-fight win streak where he beat Victor Henry and Davey Grant, which I think he was fighting in. They were fighting in the featherweight division before, but he's got 2. I remember when he got KO'd by John Silva. Yeah. He's in his last 2 fights that he's on his 2-fight win streak with, he got performance of the night bonuses. So that's how you get a lot of action from Charles Jourdain. Yeah, his last loss was that TKO win to John Silva, and then he lost to Sean Woodson before that, but that was a split decision. So it looks like he goes on 2-2-2, like 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses, and he's on 2 wins. So that might be a good thing if that continues for Kyler Phillips, because if Charles Jourdain follows that pattern, he's about to lose. But I feel like it's going to be a fun fight for these 2, and I think it's a good co-main event. So we might see some action here, and who knows, possibility for fight of the night. So yeah, And then let's get into this main event. Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. You know, and Gilbert always has the ability to come in and make things exciting too. We've seen him get into wars with Kamaru Usman and Hamzat. You know, just crazy fights that he's been in before. He's 22-9 overall, 15-9 in the UFC, 6-4 by KO TKO, but 9-0 by submission. In the long ass career that he's had, he's never been submitted, which is crazy. And then he's 7-5 by decision. He is on that 4-fight losing streak, which is fucking tough, especially when you're going against a killer like Mike Malott. Been on a 3-fight win streak, never been finished on the ground. He's never been submitted, so that's tough for Gilbert, because that's where, you know, he excels there with that 9-0 record by submission. But Mike Malott has a 6-0 record by submission, and he's never lost by decision. He only has 2 losses on his record, and they're by KO TKO. Gilbert Burns can strike, but I wouldn't say that that's the way that he's definitely gonna win. But he can mix everything up well. He's got the experience in there and the knowledge to I thought Gilbert was gonna retire after Morales lost. Yeah, I feel like maybe he should have, but we'll see how he comes out here against Mike Malott. You know, he seems to lose against the super high level guys. Like, his 4 losses are Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della, Sean Brady, and Michael Morales. Like, those, I mean, he could retire on Friday. That would be 5 losses in a row if he loses to Mike Malott, especially if he gets finished. Yeah, I could see him retiring, but who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's tough because I mean, if you look at things, this fight is kind of close as far as, you know, competition goes. But Mike Malott's just riding this 3-fight win streak, you know. Obviously Gilbert Burns has probably fought the higher level competition, but let's take a look at who Mike Malott's 3 wins are. Before I forget, let me move it to that. He beat Kevin Holland in his last fight by decision. He beat Charles Radke by TKO and Trevin Giles by decision. So, you know, he could edge out the decision win here against Gilbert, but I don't think Gilbert's going to make it easy for him. His losses are to Neil Magny by TKO, and that's it in the UFC. His first 2 fights in the UFC, he got Performance of the Night bonuses against Johan Lainesse and Adam Fugit, both submission wins. Lost to Neil Magny, and then beat Trevin Giles, Charles Radke, and Kevin Holland. So I mean, on a 3-fight win streak, this could be a good time for Gilbert Burns to bounce back and get a win and get out of this 4-fight losing streak that he's been on. You know, obviously the UFC is going to keep him around, even though he's got 4 losses in a row. But maybe this is that last fight that's going to decide whether or not, you know, he's going to get released or maybe forced to retire. So, but yeah, I mean, Gilbert is 40 years old at this point. So, 39, but yeah, he's just getting up there in age. Nice guy, man. I met him at the UFC Fan Expo. But I mean, he's a great dude, and I feel bad for him because it just seems like he wants it so badly, and you know, when he loses, he's just so, you know, just distraught. But he's been in the game a long time, and you know, 4 losses in a row, even if it's to the highest level of competition, is tough. But maybe he gets a big win against Mike Malott and gets a resurgence of some sort. But Mike Malott's going to be tough to win. I mean, to beat, especially fighting in his, you know, in his home territory. So I think Burns, you know, the pressure, mixing in the takedowns, and you know, be the veteran out there, use your fight IQ and the experience you have to grind out a win. Malott, you know, he's got cleaner striking. He puts on a faster pace. If he can capitalize on Burns' kind of declining skills and stuff, you know, and capitalize on everything that everyone else has taken advantage of in his past 4 fights. Does he have the level of skills and knowledge that it takes to beat Burns the way these other guys, these high level guys, have? I don't know. I don't think that Malott is as explosive as Michael Morales, but yeah, he still has he still has what it takes to beat somebody like Gilbert Burns. So we'll see if he can pull through with that. And if not, Gilbert's gonna get back in that win column and maybe you know, catch another streak here. I saw Gilbert break Crown Gracie and Gi Jiu-Jitsu finals at the World Championship. Damn, that's dope. Yeah. Oof, that was strong. Holy shit. Maybe because it got warm. But yeah, that does it for your main event. For the main card on UFC Winnipeg, I feel like that co-main event has potential to be a banger, and maybe this one too. But let's take a look at what is going on in the prelims, and we'll get started with from the bottom to the top. Of course, Jamie Siraj versus John Yanis. This is happening in the the featherweight division, and Siraj is making his UFC debut. Obviously, 14-3 overall, 0-0 in the UFC. Yanis is 0-1 in the UFC, 9-4 overall. So that's your first fight of the night. Let's see. Siraj is coming off of wins. He's got 2 wins in a row, both by submission. 7 overall submissions, only lost once in submissions and TKOs and decisions. But he's got more submission wins than anything. So then you got John Yanis, who is also coming off a loss. That one loss in the UFC to Austin Bashi by submission. So he's got 2 losses by submission, never won by submission. He's never been finished on the feet though, with 5 wins by TKO and then 4-2 by decision. So this is kind of grappler versus striker type shit. Siraj will probably be looking to get that submission since Yanis is 0-2 in the submission column. But that's if Yanis can't catch him on the feet first. Would you ever go see ADCC in person, like a BJJ tournament? Yeah, I think if the opportunity presented itself, I'd probably do it. I wouldn't mind checking that out in person. Next up, we have John Castaneda versus Mark Vologden. Vologden making his UFC debut. He's 12-4 overall. Castaneda, 21-8 overall, 4-4 in the UFC. This is happening in the men's bantamweight division. Castaneda's on a 2-fight losing streak, losing to Daniel Marcos and Chris Gutierrez, both by decision. He's never lost by submission, 7 wins there, but also 7 wins in the TKO KO column and 7 wins in the decision column. So he's got a little bit of everything going on for Castaneda, but he is on a 2-fight losing streak. Well, Mark Vologden coming into the UFC, making his debut. He's got never been finished on the feet. He's got 6 wins there, 4-1 by sub and 2-3 by decision. And he was 0-1 on the Contender Series. So he made his way into the UFC, even though he lost his Contender Series fight. So we'll see what happens in this one with another UFC debuting guy. Next up, we're back at the women. JJ Aldridge versus Jamie Lynn Horth. Aldridge 10-6 in the UFC, 14-7 overall, while Jamie Lynn Horth is 4-2 in the UFC, 9-2 overall. This is happening in the women's flyweight division. Yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to say that, but flyweight division. Hold on one second. Fight of the Vologden was in that war with Martinelli. Oh, okay. Shit was wild. Yeah, I don't fully remember that, but I'll take your word for it. I thought his name looked familiar, so maybe that's why. Because I was like, damn, I remember this name, and then I saw that he's making his debut. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, Aldridge, obviously a vet with that many, 10-6 in the UFC. She's got solid fundamentals. And Lubin, what's going on? Welcome in. Appreciate you for jumping in. Horth is the biggest fighter. Is the bigger fighter, and seems to be stronger, and just kind of coming up a little more than Aldridge is. But she's coming off a strong TKO win, and she uses her size pretty well. Horth's physicality and against Aldridge's like experience, basically. So we'll see which one comes out on top. The size might be the way that it goes for Jamie Lynn Horth against Aldridge, who's coming off a decision win over Andrea Lee back in March. and Jamie Lynn Horth is coming off of, she's on a 2-fight win streak. Vanessa Demopoulos by decision and Teresa Bleda by TKO. So the women keep coming with the fights, and the next one is Melissa Croden versus another hell of a name to say, Daria Zelenznayakova, I think. That's a tough ass name to say. 10-2 for her, 7-3 for Croden. Daria is 2-1 in the UFC. She's lost once by submission, has no wins there. 5-1 by KO TKO, 5-0 by decision. She's coming off a win over Melissa Mullins back in June of last year by decision, and lost her only submission loss to Aylin Perez. Melissa Croden coming in the bantamweight division. She's 1-1 in the UFC, coming off a loss as well to Luana Santos by decision. Before that, she was on a 3-fight win streak, all with TKO wins. Later in the rounds though, second round and third round wins, but she's got TKO wins going for her. So this might be an interesting matchup. We'll see which one comes out on top for the women's division there. And this will wrap it up for the prelims. We got Tanner Boser versus Gokhan Sadikam. He is making his UFC debut. 11-2 overall, 22-10 for Boser, 5-5 in the UFC. That's a lot of fucking fights, man. And Boser's only 34 years old with that many fights is crazy. He's got 12 wins by TKO, by KO TKO. He's never been subbed. He's only lost twice by KO TKO. He has 2 wins by submission, 8-8 by decision. He's on a 2-fight win streak. His last UFC win was a decision against Alexa Kumar, and that was back in 2023. And then last year he fought in UAE Warriors and got a win against Vinicius Moria by TKO. So yeah, he's making his way back to the UFC with the 5-5 record after being out for a minute in the UAE Warriors. Not a bad organization. Making his comeback against a UFC debut guy with Gokhan Sadikam, who, let's see, where's he at? He's coming in, no submission wins, 1 loss, and 8-0 by TKO, 3-1 by decision. So with Boser being the knockout artist seemingly with those 12 wins, we got Sadikam coming in, never having lost by TKO or KO. So that should be interesting. He was 5-2 in Bellator, so he's on a 3-fight win streak coming into the UFC. He beat Daniel James, Nanacio Filio, and Hayago Silva. Damn, that's tough to say. But yeah, his last 2 wins were by TKO. So we'll see. This could be this could be a banger with this fight coming in at the heavyweight division. And yeah, let's see, hold on. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I think that Boser has some durability issues of sorts, but Sadikam seems to be explosive and has the finishing abilities. Obviously he's never been finished as well on the feet. So yeah, it's a crazy heavyweight fight. It has potential to be a crazy heavyweight fight. So there's a lot of UFC debuts on this card, as you can see by this blacked out picture here. And that is the next fight, which is Julian LeBlanc versus Robert Valentine. LeBlanc is 10-2 coming into the UFC. You think Tanner is high level? I don't know if I would say that. I'd say when he looks good on the feet, you know, and knocking people out, he looks great. But like I said, he's not that durable. If somebody gets the best of him, that can happen quickly for him. So I don't know that he's high level. I just think he's a vet that's been around for a while, and you know, he's got a winning record. So, but yeah, Julian LeBlanc coming into the UFC. off of some wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight win streak. Mostly TKO, 2 TKOs, 2 decisions, and 1 submission. His last fight was won by submission. And you got Robert Valentine, 10-6 overall, 0-3 in the UFC. So he needs to win this fight. He lost to Ryan Loder, Therese Finney, and Atiba Gauthier, who was his last fight. Atiba Gauthier, that's a tough fucking fight, man. So yeah, it's a tough one to bounce back from 2 losses in a row. So that made it 3, and I'm surprised he's still in here. So we'll see if he can get a win to continue his career in the UFC, or if the guy making his debut, Julian LeBlanc, will come in and be able to get a win. So yeah, I guess if LeBlanc uses his wrestling, which he's really good at, that could probably get Valentine to not be able to do much throughout the fight. It might be a weird fight, honestly. So your last fight on the prelims card, Dennis Bazooka versus Marcio Barbosa, and that's happening in the flyweight division, or featherweight division, I'm sorry. Bazooka's 12-5 overall, 1-3 in the UFC, 17-2 overall for Barbosa, and another guy making his UFC debut. He's one of the biggest favorites on the card. He's minus 400 against Dennis Bazooka, who's plus 95, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, he's a fast starter. He comes out, you know, swinging right away. He's got multiple first-round finishes and just ran through a lot of fighters in the regional scene and the contender series. So Bazooka hasn't fought since 2024. He got dropped in his last fight. I mean, it's not a big deal. He bounces back, but you know, it's a tough thing against a guy who comes out hot and throwing big strikes right away. So if Bazooka can get past round 1, it might favor, you know, the fight might be in his favor. But the problem is, if he doesn't, then Barbosa is going to end it quickly. That's just the type of fighter that he is. So it could be some excitement in that featured prelim before we get to the main card. So let's get these fight wheel predictions out of the way. Let's hope for something better than last week, which we went 0-5, which is a damn shame. I don't even know how that happens, to be honest with you. It's just crazy to go 0-5. So let's delete that and forget about that one. Oh, Dennis. Does Dennis, you have me dying sometimes. Does Dennis get cut here? Shit, he might, man. He might. If he can't get a win, it's gonna be tough for him. So yeah, I think he definitely has to get a win here. And to make it exciting would be a lot better too. But that's gonna be tough against his opponent. So we'll see. They could just get into a firefight early, and if Bazooka gets the best of him, that might be the best way for him to win. It's gonna be tough though. So let's get these fight wheel productions out of the way, and we start with Thiago Moises to beat Gage Young. I don't really have a feeling on that one, so that might be, like, I had feelings last week about the picks and I wasn't happy about them. So yeah, you know, this one I don't have too many opinions on, so it's a toss-up, and we'll go with the randomized pick there. Thiago Moises to beat Gage Young. That's the first fight on the main card. 4 more to go. Let's see what's next. For UFC Winnipeg, Jasmine Jasdavicius to beat Karine Silva. I think it's going to be a tough fight for Jasmine, but I do think she has the capabilities of beating Silva. I'm just going to put JJ because that's a long-ass name. So yeah, that's not a bad pick. Continuing on, we got 2 fights out of the way, 3 left for UFC Winnipeg, and we got Jai Herbert to beat Mandel Nalo. I feel like that's going to be a tough fight for him, but he needs to get a win. So it would be good for him to get that win against somebody making his UFC debut. So we'll see if Jai Herbert can pull it off. All right, 2 fights left. The co-main and the main. Surprisingly, that's how it worked out. We'll see. It looks like we got the main event getting picked first. Mike Malott to beat Gilbert Burns. Sadly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how that goes down. That would put Gilbert Burns at 5 losses in a row, which is insane. I feel like Mike Malott's going to do well fighting in his homeland. So it's going to be tough for Burns. But we'll see. Maybe if we do as bad as we did last week, that's good news for Gilbert Burns. Here's your co-main event is all that's left for the Fight Wheel predictions for UFC Winnipeg. And it looks like... oh, shit. What did I do here? I messed up the names. Well, it looks like Kyler Phillips is beating Charles Jourdain. I messed up the names there, but I just combined them. That's all. But yeah, so Kyler Phillips. I don't know if he can beat Charles Jourdain. I think, but okay, so he has a chance to beat him, but I don't know if he does in this fight. So Charles Jourdain's gonna definitely has an agenda and he wants to go out there and get that win. And I feel like if he's fired up, he'll do that. So does Gilbert get cut or would he have to retire? I don't know. I think they'll give him the chance to retire or else he'll get cut and then he'll just retire, you know, but who knows? We'll see. The UFC does weird things for different fighters, and I don't feel like Gilbert Burns has ever been in a bad light with the UFC besides losing fights. So it's tough to say. So in the main card, we got Thiago Moises beating Gage Young for the Fight Wheel predictions. We got Jasmine Jasovicius beating Karina Silva, Jai Herbert beating Mandel Nalo, Mike Malott beating Gilbert Burns in that main event, and Kyler Phillips beating Charles Jourdain in the co-main. Those are your Fight Wheel predictions for UFC Winnipeg, and that about does it for us. Another great show. Yeah, I appreciate your knowledge of MMA history and how fast you remember things. You quickly reference fights I forgot about, plus covering new fighters. Always fun and interesting. Thanks, 78 Northwest. I appreciate that, man. I don't feel like I have the best memory, but when it works, it works. And I've definitely seen a lot in the amount of time I've been watching the UFC and MMA. So yeah, it's it's surprising that I remember the things I do, but it's all been ingrained in there with all the fights and shit that I've seen. So Antoine, yeah, I'm playing golf on Saturday. Those are the only plans I really have. So other than that, watching the fights on Saturday as well. So don't miss them. We got the main event starting at 5 p.m. Arizona time. Just go Google UFC events, and as long as they know what area you're in, it'll tell you what time the main card starts and what time the prelim card starts. So you can do that. That's a quick and easy way to know what time it's starting in your area. But for me, I'm in Arizona, and the main card starts at 5 p.m. for me. Prelims will start at 2 p.m. Appreciate you, 78 Northwest. Catch you next time. Also, I wanted to ask you, how do you handle those days at work when you're frustrated from the start? Man, a lot of breathing and a lot of paying attention to podcasts in my ear. How do you get through those days where you don't want to talk to people, but you keep yeah, that's it, man. I focus on what I'm listening to in my ear as much as I can, and when I have to talk to other people, I just think about, you know, getting home to my family and stuff, and just making it through the day. Nothing really special there, man. Honestly, I have an earbud in at all times because I use it to talk on the phone because I get phone calls all day too. But on top of that, I have a podcast or something playing in my ear, so that I can disengage with everything else when I don't have anybody talking to me. So yeah, that's pretty much how I deal with it. But oh man, I hear you, man. Hopefully your day gets better for the rest of the time today, and I hope you have a better day tomorrow. Oh shit, thanks, Antoine. I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's crazy. That's crazy to me. That's why I like to ask so many questions. Right on, man. No, I don't mind it, you know. I don't mind it. Sometimes I don't have the answer. That's the only thing that frustrates me, is when I don't really know what to say. But, you know, I try to answer them the best way I can and make it interesting as much as I can. So I appreciate all the questions and the interaction as always. Thank you guys for continuing to listen and support. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to come back on Sunday for the recap, and enjoy the fights this weekend. I'm going to try to put out some more YouTube shorts and TikToks and stuff. So go follow all my social media and check it out. So thanks. Same to you, Antoine. Appreciate that. And that's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.